I am genuinely in awe at the levels of betrayal the British government, no matter which party is in charge, is prepared to inflict on the British public. Like, there are so many knives in our back at this point that it blows your mind that such things can be done ever, let alone now. For whatever reason, and God only knows what reason, the Labour Party are thrilled. This government has secured a trade deal with India. Well, pat yourselves on the back, boys, because I'm sure you're going to really, really want to hear the details of this. Today, Britain has agreed a landmark trade deal with India. Fantastic news for British business, British workers and British shoppers, delivering on our plan for change. My God, the change is going to be incredible. So, okay, what are the details, Keir? Give us the deets. What's the lowdown? How's this going to improve things for us? And the answer is, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. It's just so preposterous. Like, it is so profoundly unfair and such a small amount of money that we're getting in return that we're expected to get for this. I'm just like, right, okay, this has to be deliberate. This just has to be deliberate. It just has to be just open betrayal, right? It must be that Keir Starmer is actually some kind of accelerationist, and he wants some kind of extremely right-wing government to take over and fix everything. So that's all I can get from the choices they make. Look at this, right? The UK signs a trade deal with India in £5 billion boost to the economy. That sounds like a lot of money, but it's a really, really small amount of money in comparison. For example, the NHS is £165 billion a year. So, okay, pays for what? 20 minutes of NHS spending or something like this. This is a really, really small amount of net. And when you see the cost of it, you'll just be like, oh my God, I wouldn't agree to that if I had a gun to my head. This is crazy, right? So, as the Times are telling us, well, it's 0.1% rise in GDP. And what are we getting for this 0.1% rise? Well, we have made a series of concessions to Delhi, including an exemption from national insurance payments for Indian workers in Britain. As in, we have to pay for the NHS, but they don't have to pay for the NHS. Even though, if one of them gets injured or falls sick, they still get to use it. Oh my God, this is insufferable. I just can't believe it. I cannot believe this was the concession we had to make. The British will subsidize Indian workers in Britain. Oh my God, right? I bet Modi calls it a historic milestone. No kidding. No kidding. Ministers denied the agreement would lead to an increase in visas from India, but businesses would benefit from a clearer and simplified approval process. So it's going to increase the number of visas from India. That's what's going to happen. And of course, we're going to scrap tariffs on textile imports, and just as if we're interested in buying Indian textiles, right? So again, they're all like, wow, this will be 4.8 billion within 15 years. 15 years? What's inflation going to be over that time? Like, this is crazy. And increased wages by 2.2 billion, but whose wages? This is just... I think I'm going mad. I think I'm genuinely going mad. So the Times article just gives us kind of like wishy-washy details. What are the real details? I had to go to this LBC article to find out. Right at the bottom, right? The deal also includes the Double Contributions Convention, which means Indian workers coming to Britain and British workers going to India will not have to pay national insurance contributions in both countries for the first 3 years. Now, where does that line up? Is that a balanced deal that we've got there? No, there are obviously far more Indians coming to Britain than there are British people going to India. In fact, we know the numbers. Britain receives 250,000 new Indian migrants every year, and they're going to be tax exempt. Furthermore, a new cap on the number of Indian professionals who can come to the UK. Musicians, chefs, and yogis was agreed as part of the negotiations. Oh yeah, because we've got a massive shortage of yogis. What is this? And so this means, as Farage has rightly pointed out, that it will be 20% cheaper to hire Indian foreign workers than native British workers. This means Keir Starmer has actually successfully rigged the economy in favour of Indians over British people. This, and by a measurement of a fifth as well. It's not like if it was 5% or something. Okay, not great. It shouldn't be rigged against us. But 20%, because the companies themselves don't have to pay the national insurance contribution either. So it's just better for companies to hire Indians, which means everyone at Lotus Eaters is getting great replaced. Obviously, I'm joking. I've got to make jokes because this is maddening. This is genuinely maddening, right? What kind of economy rigs itself against the native workers? Like Keir Starmer also, remember, he came in and hiked up national insurance contributions during the budget by like 2% or something. Not the world's greatest increase, but an increase nonetheless. And then just cancels it entirely for Indian immigrants, making it 20% cheaper to hire Indians over British people. This is mad. This is just such an open betrayal, such a stab in the back. Like every company... and there are so many companies, corporations, large multinational corporations working in Britain, right? They get to move their Indian employees to Britain now and not pay national insurance contributions on them. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is just, it's beyond the pale. It's totally beyond the pale. It's like they want Nigel Farage to be in charge, right? That's basically what they're saying. Is no, this is accelerationism. We definitely want Farage in charge. We want the British public to hate us because, frankly, we're against them. We have set our faces against the British public. We have decided that we are going to capitulate on a deal with India to make it so that their workers are a fifth more employable in Britain than British people. And you know what? Screw you, not our problem. I mean, it's just mad. And people are just like, this is comical. Absolutely comical. How is it we have a yogi shortage? And again, people like 0.168% of UK GDP in 15 years. That is such a small number. And okay, the GDP overall might go up by 0.168%, but do you think your wages are going to improve? Or are you going to literally be out of a job and replaced by a cheap Indian immigrant? My God, this is insufferable. And of course, India is like, this is the best trade agreement we've ever had because this is incredible. The Indian government says that they've boasted that the new deal will deliver a double contribution, blah, 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 right? The consequences for our labour market could be huge. And again, this is a Conservative MP. He's not someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. In a press release, the Indian government is clear about what this means. They call it a huge win that will provide this 3-year grace period. And again, if you're an Indian worker in an Indian company, you could come over here, work for a higher wage that undercuts the British worker, and then just after 3 years, just move back and send all that money back. Because of course, there's nothing preventing them from just sending any money they earn overseas. So this is a massive extraction process from our economy at the expense of our workers. This is mad. Right? Indian officials say this is an unprecedented achievement that will make Indian service providers significantly more competitive in the UK. Amazing. So native business is going to be undermined by this. Native workers are going to be undermined by this. And the Indians are thrown because this is such a one-sided deal. This is literally like Britain's own century of humiliation. Except we didn't lose a war, right? We didn't lose like the Opium Wars. India didn't send gunships up the Thames or something. Nothing happened. And for some reason, our government's like, how can we stab them in the back today? I think this, oh yeah, look, soft, just continue stabbing. And of course, the Indian government says the deal will ease mobility for intra-corporate transferees, as well as their partners and dependent children and people like yoga instructors, musicians and chefs. Great. So now hundreds of thousands of more Indian dependents will come over. They will doubtless pull off the welfare state without contributing to at least, any national insurance. This is, oh God, this is insufferable. I just can't take it. I just can't take it. And of course, because they're Commonwealth citizens, they'll be able to vote in our elections as well. So the Labour government honestly looks like they're desperately trying to import a new voter bloc. And you know what? If you're an Indian who moves to the UK, why wouldn't you vote for Labour after doing this for you? And of course, people were like, well, look, are you going to cut the winter fuel allowance with this new money you're bringing in? I mean, it's not going to be enough, but they're like, no. Our pensioners can freeze. The Indians become first-rate employees because they're cheaper than native employees, and Indian companies get an unfair competitive advantage over British companies. So screw yourself, is what they're saying. This is incredible. Like, former Home Office official. India is literally laughing at us and taking us for mugs. Yeah, right? And this is such a huge capitulation that even Rishi Sunak didn't do it. Rishi Sunak, the guy who began with 250,000 Indian immigrants a year, because he is an Indian, even he wouldn't do this to Britain. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this was a Conservative initiative. They tried in 2022, Kemi Badenoch tried to get this UK-India trade deal, but India was like, look, no, we have to be able to export as many of our people to you as possible, or no trade deal. And so even Rishi Sunak wouldn't do this. And that means that Conservatives like Jacob Rees-Mogg are trying to take credit for this. Cheaper food and drink, including rice and tea, footwear and clothing. Oh, brilliant, yeah, because I'm so desperate to wear Indian shoes. Christ on a bike. Exactly what Brexit promised. I mean, only because we are the weakest people on the earth. We are the weakest, most pathetic people on the earth. I mean, Rupert Lowe just came out and was like, look, to be brutally honest, we just need far fewer Indian migrants in the country. We certainly don't need tax breaks to encourage more on top of an already ludicrously high Indian migrant population. Total and utter madness. It is madness. It is total madness. I can't believe what I'm reading. I mean, talk about two-tier Keir. Well, like, there is just nothing. This, again, yet another formalization of the second-class status that the British have as a conquered people during their century of humiliation. This is unbelievable. Like, I know, I just keep saying it because it's just, I mean, it's unfathomable. The level of betrayal of the British government towards the British people is just unfathomable. And yet here we are. This is what, and now they've signed it. So it's like, right, the future governments are going to be like, well, there's nothing we can do. We're going to have to take millions of Indians and they're going to get jobs over you because they are cheaper for companies to hire. And you can just enjoy the frozen prawns we're going to import. And they won't pay national insurance contributions. So any money they take out of the NHS, you're paying for. I have to try and enhance my calm because, I mean, honestly, I think I might go mad.